Hello everyone, time for the video, and I'm glad to be back. I want to update you with what's been happening in the markets, and that's what we're going to do today. We're going to look at BTC, and also the Quora inner cycle team has voted for what else? Quant. So I'll try to be quick. This is something I always say and I never manage to do, but I think because I'm actually in a rush, I will do that today. So let's go and get ahead, and don't forget, none of this is financial advice. It's purely educational. Elliott waves on cryptos. Starting off with, of course, the long-term count. For those who don't know it, supercycle 3, I'm expecting an A B, and a further downside in wave C below the previous low. Of course, for some sort of perspective, look, if this is indeed A and B, because I'm split between two counts here in wave B, of course. Actually, I would say probably 3, but 2 as an ABC. For some context, 32K, 33K seems to be a cluster. Then you go up to around the 40K. That's also a cluster. If A is here, if A, it's going to be up here, we need to wait for the correction to see what's going to happen. But if we assume a double bottom over here, which typically is the case, you get the 40K again being a cluster, and then you go up to around 48 to 52. Why do I say split? Well, look at this. If, let's go to the 8. Our wave A finished here. You got 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5. Then you got a 61.8 or 50% correction in wave B, which is the typical correction. And then we go up for 1. And there you have A and B. It looks like an actual triangle, which we can get in a B wave. And we're waiting for another leg to the downside for wave 2. If this is the case, you got A, B, C, D, and E. The breakout is going to be around that. Let's say here around this territory. So actually the wave B ends here. So we should be looking for the 100%. And that comes, as you can see, to around 25.80 also. But there is a very good cluster around 25.77 as well. On a different note, let's not forget waves 2 typically correct, well, deeper than wave 4. So the typical correction is 61.8. Sometimes it goes even deeper. But this is one of the counts. Now here's the thing, guys. I'm split between this and also this. This scenario sees an open triangle here, a wave 4, and wave 5 going all the way up here to finish wave A. Okay? This means that if we're going to see a correction, it will be unlikely that we're going to see an A, B, and a C, because the move to the downside is not going to do much. If you have all of this leg to take into account when we correct, and typically wave B does that 50%, we're looking at 22K. If you take this as an A and B, it means like we're going to stop very short of that level. I mean, it would just be, you know what I mean. That is the idea of why I'm preferring a 1, 2 here, 3, 4, and 5 in A, then B, and then C for wave B. And again, I'm looking at around below the 20K for the low to be in here. Whatever the case is, guys, whatever the case is, I'm expecting downside to go around that level. Of course, if this is 1 and 2, it's probably going to stop around the 25K. But I would prefer to see that deep, because it gives many more opportunities for a lot more people to go in spot as well, for the longer term count, or for the longer term in general. Now, let me show you what else could happen here. That's why I said probably even between 3. There is also a potential for a W, X, and Y here, guys, right, in wave B, which means that maybe we finished A, B, and C here, and we're going to get a deep correction down in X, And if we're going to get an X, I'm expecting, actually, I would be expecting the more typically corrective depth for wave X around the cross of the 79 case. And then we're going to see that. The alternate completely is where you got wave A finishing here. Here you've got a 5 wavelength to the upside ending here, finishing an expanded flat, which means that this is going to be 1 indeed and 2. And then we're going to go down from here straight away. This is the most bearish scenario, I guess, at the moment. You got the W, X, and Y as well. Similar scenario, but instead of a 3 wave, instead of a 5, we'll have a 3 in the beginning. Again, the expanded triangle, we expect an ABC down, or it could be a double 3, you know, it could be really anything. Also the most bearish, equally to the other. And a variation of the double zigzag, where of course we ended down here. All right, that's going to actually lead to further upside. This is 1, 2, 1, 2. This is the most bullish case. Okay, now back to this, because we need to just look a little bit in the short term here, what's going on. I will explain you a few things quickly. Look, if this is 1 and 2, we can have a triangle in here. We're going to expect the correction to end and then continue to the upside. That is a triangle. That's where I'm giving it to you right now. Can that change? Yes. Maybe it's going to change to a W, X, and Y. Who knows? You know, a double 3. Now the assumption is that wave done, it is done, and we're going down. Okay, in this scenario. And in this scenario, which to be fair also, I lean towards a bit more into that. Although I'm not liking too much what's happening here in the short term, here's what we have. We have to have a wave 1, as I said before, due to the corrective depth that we expect to see going forward. Here's what's going on here. Not the only case, of course. A and B, and I'm expecting 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 for an ending diagonal, and then continue lower down. Why do I not like this count? It's because A is very fast, B is very fast. If there would be an ending diagonal, it should have been here, already finished, and we would be going down. So we cannot have that, of course, being the case over here. So I'm not liking that count too much, guys. But structurally speaking, this is what I see being the most likely scenario. Unless, if of course, we're going and start, if we fall under 2117, because wave B correction in an ending diagonal, I mean, 79 is even a bit too much to take into account. However, this is something that we'll look for a leading diagonal here in B and C. Now, if we lose that low though, guys, look at this. This can be still A. You could have A, B, C, D, and E. Okay, if we don't lose that level still, we might go back up. And we're going to have to go above wave A. And that's why I don't like that scenario either. Actually, I don't like any of these ABC, guys, as an ABC. Maybe this is A, and this is A, B, and a C, right? Which, again, I don't like because, I mean, okay, it could be a running flat because you got the 90% up here. And then you would, again, expect something like 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. That could be a little bit less extended to the upside. So maybe just topping above the previous high and then falling, because the structurally speaking, amplitude wise, duration, all the stuff of the end diagonal is expected to be shorter. What do I like for this particular case? Because we've already corrected too much in wave A. We want to see a running flat in a Y wave, or a running flat in its entirety, or a triangle in a WX scenario. So A, B, and C for W, X perhaps even here as a running flat, A, B, C, D, E. Off we go down. That's what I prefer. That's what I would want to see. Why? Because anything above that level, it's going to decrease the chances of this being the actual correct count, if you know what I mean. What else could happen? Well, as I said before, the WX and Y, that might be A, B, and a C. If you look internally in here, you're going to get a very not right looking ending diagonal, and we could assume this is a running flat. So that could be W, that could be X, and maybe we're going to get an ABC for Y, or if this is going to be a wave Y, it can literally be anything. Again, I would personally prefer running flat or triangle so that we avoid having to weigh in that risk of moving higher up. Okay, and that is all there is for BTC. Now we're gonna go to quant, and I'm gonna start with a long-term count again. On the daily, off we go, and here's what we see. We are expecting primary wave 4 to end, okay, in the one case, which is the main. And why is it the main? Because guys, we are going up in a corrective structure. When we're moving up in a corrective crash structure, you're either gonna get a flat, and we are far from getting a flat because we're not close to the 90%, okay, or we're starting a leading diagonal. But since we also see an actual triangle here, okay, we have to remember that when we get diagonals in general, we cannot get triangles in wave B or A or C or W and X and Y's. All the waves have to be zigzags, with the exception of the corrective waves, which are the reactionary waves in this particular case, being able to be double zigzags. That means two zigzags connected with an intervening wave. But if this is 1 and this is 2, this wave B cannot be a triangle. It would have to be a zigzag. So it would have to be something like a zigzag here, right? And then would have to start again with 5 waves. But again, 5 guys don't come. We have an ABC. So the only way that we can see this play out, since we don't even go down to the 90% to assume, oh, maybe it's going to be a flat in wave B, we have to assume ABC, we have to assume W, X, and Y, so that we want to see that, and then we want to see that price going up. So what I'm saying, guys, is that the alternate for a wave B over here would be a flat, okay? Or perhaps even a W, X, and Y if we don't manage to go below or to the 90%, which is around there $100. So very critical level, we both know that. And if we do get the 90, we could, if we start moving up, assume that we're going to end wave B at 163 because it's going to be a regular flat. And in the regular flat, you can assume, you know, the same correction. For example, if 90% is where we correct for wave B, you're going to measure wave B 90% and expect that to end there. If it goes to 95%, expect a 95% for C. But if we go below wave A, 105 below, actually, to be more precise, then that's going to be a variation of either, you know, an expanded or a running flat. And by the length that we see, it's more likely a case to be a running flat. And I will tell you also why, because the expectation would be for us to have a deeper move to the downside, because we expect wave C to end below wave W. If you assume this is A and B is going to end lower rather than higher in expanded flat variation, that means that your typical target, you know, the 100% is going to be closer to the low, which is 40 and 52. Whereas if you finish with an expanded flat variation, you're going to go up here, you're going to have to assume we're going to get 2x, very extended wave C, if you know what I mean, okay? But for now, that's the reason I'm voting for B. And I actually expect a little bit more upside here, guys. The triangle in wave B, the particular triangle, let me make that note, is going to be invalidated. Oh, hold on. It's going to be invalidated above, well, this is A and B and C. It's going to be invalidated above 134. This is the invalidation level. So we could still see something like this and then go down, okay? If we go higher, there's two things that can happen. A larger triangle, okay? Or a W, X, and Y. And then we'll go lower. This is all for the short and medium term, guys. It's actually the same, exactly the same case. The alternative is that we have actually ended wave 4 down here, and instead of, as I said before, instead of going up, you know, you're gonna get 1, 2 here. But look at this. This is an actual triangle, as I said before. That's why I left it here, just so that I remember that we cannot have it, you know. ABC, and ABC has to be a zigzag here. So we can only get a W, X, and Y, as I said before, in this particular case, guys, okay? And it cannot be a double 3. It has to be a double zigzag, which means that we have to go up to the previous high, unless if wave Y is going to be truncated out of the ordinary, but unlikely to be the case. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Leave your comments, likes, share, ask your questions. Sometimes I take time to respond. Sometimes I respond quickly. Respect, first of all, and then you're going to get your questions answered. So take care, and we will speak again hopefully soon.